Happening right now at this hour, the search continues. Rescue teams on this debris pile in Davenport, Iowa are wearing face masks as they sort through the rubble of the collapsed apartment building that came down on Sunday. City officials are raising concern about the possibility now of asbestos, and that is as these crews work in a very delicate, thorough manner through this pile to find 3 people who are still unaccounted for that were believed to be in the apartment when it collapsed. Brandon Colvin, Ryan Hitchcock, and Daniel Prian, their families also standing by during this desperate and urgent search for survivors. There are about 50 rescue teams that are involved in the rescue and recovery right now, and you can see several of them. This is a live picture on your screen. I want to bring in Dr. Chris Pernell now. She's a public health physician at Regent at Large for the American College of Preventive Medicine. There are so many risks to these rescue teams right now, from just the sharpness of the debris as it's being removed, the crumbling of other debris, and then you've got asbestos concerns. They're wearing masks. What worries you about asbestos and exposure, even after a matter of minutes?
Hi, Marni. First and foremost, my heart and prayers go out to the workers who are working the site of this building collapse, and to the family members of those who are still waiting to hear news about those unaccounted loved ones. The risks are, as you explained, any worker at the site of a building collapse. First and foremost, we're thinking about crush injuries potentially, or even puncture or impact injuries. When you start to consider asbestos, you want to make sure that a person has a properly fitting respirator. In addition to having a properly fitting respirator, you want to make sure that they have overalls and footwear so that they're not carrying asbestos fibers. A person who inhales or gets exposed to asbestos can have an infection or a disease in their lungs. This can lead to scarring. A person can live with those asbestos fibers in their lungs, sometimes for about 10 years. It's a progressive condition that can ultimately lead to death. In some instances, it can cause mesothelioma, a rare type of cancer, which is deadly, or it can cause malignancies across the airway and GI tract. So there are definitely concerns and precautions that need to be taken.
And breaks that need to be had, right? Because there's a lot of adrenaline, there's a lot of danger as they continue to sift through. This image on your screen right now is live, and you can see the rescue teams actively throwing debris off of that pile. Talk about the rest in a situation like this and protecting them from asbestos and some of the other things they may be exposed to.
Definitely. When you're in a high impact, high adrenaline situation, your risk just goes up. But what you want to do is what we call slow down the thinking or the processes to run those safety checks through your head, and taking rest or opportunities just to give yourself a mental and emotional and a physical break from the high energy, high crisis situation that you're involved in, so you can ensure, and those on site can ensure, that all of those necessary and proper precautions are being taken. The properly fitted respirators, the overalls or protective outerwear, and overall protection for your feet to ensure that you're not transporting asbestos fibers away from the site.
Is there a concern? There are a lot of people nearby around that fence line. Family members have been camped out there for the last 6 days or so, that they may also be exposed, or is distance diminish the impact and the risk?
Well, it's not just asbestos. Asbestos is a very concerning and alarming issue for us to be aware of, but you could have various particulate matter that will be in the air, in the environment, because of this building that has collapsed. This is a building that's over 100 years old, so there are building materials that may have been used that are not currently allowed because of safety reasons and other hazards. So if you're a person that has asthma, if you're a person that has any other lung or respiratory condition, that risk may be higher for you, depending on what's in the environment that day, what the air is like. There may be a heightened risk. So even family members should take some precaution. There may be some dissipation of particles depending on their size and how likely they're able to travel through the air, but there is some diminished risk.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.